we're doing a pod Wednesday. Why don't you fly back and come back and do it?
Yeah. That'll be a good
I
one.
wish you were going to be here.
I know.
All right.
New Orleans next year.
Next year, New Orleans. You're there for more than one day or 24 hours.
Hopefully.
Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. He's here. We're here. What's up, everybody? Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed is here. Super Bowl 59 Radio Row. We are back in action. It is the Monday before. It's the calm before the storm. There's not a ton of people here yet. It's actually enjoyable these first few days. Get the feet wet a little bit. Get used to the schedule, where you got to go. Slowly ramps up as the week goes. But it's big time here. Great set. Right in front of the Eagles banner. Jalen Hurts literally is yelling, "You Sims" to me right here. He's like, you.
All week long.
That's
to
what
your
he's saying
face.
to me. That's what he's saying. He's literally like, "You don't respect me enough." But you know this is a big time pod because the red pants are out. The red pants are out.
I don't know that, actually.
And when the red pants are out, that means it's big time football. It doesn't mean anything about Chiefs. It just means it's a big time show.
If you're going to the Super Bowl Radio Row for one day, you wear the red pants.
You wear the red pants. If
right?
you're Ahmed Fareed, like Tiger wears black on Sundays, right?
Red.
Or red. Sorry. Red and black. Sorry.
Right.
Michael Jordan wears black Jordans in the playoffs.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Ahmed Fareed wears red.
Wears red
in big announcing
on Radio
moments.
Row on Monday, the one day that he's here. So we have not changed that. I will still only be here for one day.
I know. One
pod.
day NBC will become an established company, and we can keep you here for 2 to 3 days.
We got a big triple header of Big Ten action coming up on Tuesday.
So you're busy.
I got to get back for that. I'm a busy man, but
Big
so
Ten
are
basketball.
you. Doing Dan Patrick before you got here.
Right.
It's like you're right into it. You're right into it.
But Monday is good because I'll do a few miscellaneous things, but we get to do this and have a few interviews later when we do Florio and PFT and all that. But I'm excited to be here. I'm a little tired, not going to lie. Landed at like 12:45 last night, right? Was up pretty early, but I'm all good. I'm like flying on adrenaline, and I do have 3 shots of espresso in my coffee.
All right.
And you really, Super Bowl, you're just going to bring out the energy drink, huh?
I do have.
You're trying to hide it. You were trying to hide it behind the cooler.
Part of me was, I joked with Pete. I was like, everyone comes up here sponsoring something. I was like, I should come up with my favorite energy drink. But then I was like, you know what? They're not paying us.
Yeah.
Why am I going to do that for free?
Right.
One of these days, an energy drink provider will pay us.
Look at that. You're drinking Total Body Fuel, sour gummy worm.
Yeah.
BCAA aminos.
BCAA aminos are good
Good thing
for
you're
you.
getting
I do
that
know
because
that.
your thighs will just pop out of those red pants there. So thank God you got that.
So maybe I'll give you another shot of what it actually is here a little later on behind my Fisher-Price water bottle. But we do have a big one here. If I'm only in for one show, we're going to make it a big one. We're not going to waste this show.
Exactly.
So what we have done is we have reprised what we did last year, and that is your top 10 non-quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. So the most important players and coaches ranked from 1 through 10.
I think we'll have some good discussions about this.
I agree.
Right? It's one of those where I make a list, and every time I look at it, I go, oh, maybe I should make this 4 or this 3 or whatever. But it doesn't matter. When we get down to the bottom of the list or the top of the list, the top few, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
And then there's some other ones that I think are just some good candy to talk about little angles of the football game that I think are going to be important. So we'll kind of break all that stuff down.
There is no one that scrutinizes a list more that was just made up moments ago than Chris Simms of like, do you think he should be 5 or should he be 6?
Well, yeah, as I told you, I mean, full transparency, I started doing it a little yesterday. I was on the plane. I always put on the text with my wife. And I kind of just do it that way, and then it's like an ongoing thing, right? So I just keep it going. This morning at breakfast, I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, wait, no, maybe I'll add this person to the list. But I think we got it all down.
They're going to think I'm an idiot if this guy's 8. Make him 7. Okay, all right, now we're good. We also have Ask Me Anything. The homies have given us questions to discuss there.
You got Super Bowl trivia for me or anything?
No Super Bowl trivia.
What?
So Pete's teasing something at the end of the pod.
Okay.
He goes, there's something that's coming at the end of the pod that's going to shock everyone.
Wow.
So I don't even know
Nobody
that
told
yet.
me that.
Yeah, so that's what's going to be at the end of the pod.
Tell the guy that the pod is after.
Actual
maybe a little
hosting.
surprises
You're
like
introducing it, so hopefully that you find out at some point. So let's start with breaking news, though.
Yeah.
Because I said this to Pete. I was like, there's always, the first day at Radio Row, there's the one story that everyone's talking about. I was like, what do you think it's going to be?
Try to steal the show.
There's one story, and we have that story. So we'll start with some breaking news here, and that is that Myles Garrett has requested a trade. citing a desire to win, and you can't argue with that. Everyone wants to win. Ian Rappaport was tweeting this out. He said it was an exclusive statement, I guess only to him. He goes, as a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, and he goes on and on. Love calling this my home city. My desire to win, to compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, all bolded, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns.
Hey, it doesn't get more serious than this. It doesn't get more in your face. First off, that's so professionally done that just tells you he's been thinking about this for weeks, right?
It is really cool.
Right? It's really well done. So this is something that he and his team have thought about here extensively. We heard from him at the end of the football season. He said he was going to sit down with the Cleveland Browns brass, right, and go over things about the future of the organization, right? So he's at a point in his career. This is one of the best defensive players in football his whole career. He's always in the top 3 or 4 best players in the league, right? He's a force off the edge. He's been on, one real good Cleveland football team that almost upset Kansas City in the divisional playoff game, if you remember that, right? That's about the only time they've been – and then last year, 2 years ago, where they lost in the wild card.
What's worse, they've been talented. The last few years,
they've had talent. They have not been able to make it happen. He's at a point in his career, and he's a caliber of a player that is like he's just going, I've had enough. And when he says he's going to sit down and meet with the brass and the decision makers, what are they going to say right now? Oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years. We're just not sure who our quarterback is?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to make all these improvements, yet, oh, that's right. We got to pay Deshaun Watson $45 million each in the next 2 years, even if he's not on our team, right? How can that even go over to where you can go, oh, yeah, that makes sense, let alone they traded Amari Cooper. They got some other guys where it looks like they're about to flip over the roster and try to go young, right, in that capacity to where that makes
probably
you think,
the right call.
It's the right call, exactly right. It's the right call, just not for him.
Yeah.
And, yes, so that when he hears that stuff, he's going, hey, I like it here. I like you guys. You got a plan. I like the plan, but I don't want to be here for it. Like, it's going to take 3 years, 4 years for this plan to kind of come to fruition here. And I think that's where he just said, you know what, it's time for me to move on, and we'll see where it goes. But Monday, that statement, the way it was written, and then Monday of the Super Bowl, where now the week gets kicked off with 2 days of Myles Garrett talk.
That's a smart thing to do.
It's a smart thing to do. It totally puts the pressure on the Browns, and it almost makes it like we want out, and there's no coming back, right? And I think that's the move he's made, and good for him.
So, which teams should be pursuing this most aggressively?
I mean, that's
other than my Detroit Lions.
Well, it's a tough thing to hit on right here, right off the bat.
I mean, because everyone would like a Myles Garrett.
There's no team that's not going to want a Myles Garrett, except for maybe like the Eagles, who are like, well, we're kind of good on the edge or whatever. But everybody's going to want a Myles Garrett. It's going to be a little bit, and where it gets hard to match teams with them right now is just to see what teams are going to do when the league year ends. Are we going to get a feel for, they're going to resign this DN, they're going to let this guy walk, they're going to let somebody else walk that's going to free up money. Of course, Myles Garrett's making pretty good money, but not huge money for the position. I mean, he's making like $9-10 million less than Nick Bosa a year, which is a steal, right?
Just turned 29 in December.
Still got good football, stays in shape, right? Has not had too many bad injuries to where you worry about, right? So, again, like, there's no team I look at that's going to go, oh, wow, yeah, we don't want them. You know, but you know, where is it? Is it a team that's not in the playoff picture at all? Or is
how would you expect this to go then over the next month, right? I mean, you can request a trade.
Yeah,
doesn't mean it'll happen.
I think you're going to get to the two processes of teams are going to evaluate free agents out there. Teams are going to start to get a feel for the draft a little bit. The new league year will start, and we'll start to get a feel, I think, for the teams when we're kind of in Indy for the Combine. Around then, all of a sudden, I think we'll start to hear a handful of teams that are very interested.
Yeah.
And then, they like them, but they might have to make a few moves on their team to free up money or a space or whatever else and figure that type of stuff out. That'll probably whittle away a few more teams in the conversation.
And it'll also be, well, here, probably later on today, already what the Browns would seek in a trade,
I mean,
right? What are they looking? What are they looking for?
I would think
right?
two first rounders for Myles Garrett. That right off the top of my head, I would think that yes, 2 firsts, and I don't know how much more after that because one of his money and then also he might be getting at a point here where he asks for more money soon. So that can make things a little more difficult in the situation. But, again, I don't think there's a team out there that's not going to look at him and go, damn, he could help out our football team.
And I know
a team like Washington.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
So which teams
Dan
would
Quinn,
help out the most? Washington.
He's looking for a pass rusher.
Atlanta.
He's all about that. Right.
Yeah.
The Bills, of course. I mean, the Bills, the guy that's supposed to be the biggest performer for the Bills, and just to get that discussion going once again about lack of sizzle players on the defense. Von Miller's supposed to be their sizzle player.
Yeah.
He's their highest paid player on the defensive side of the ball. So that just shows you that there is problems there with that team. But, yeah, that would make sense, certainly.
But literally any team.
Anybody.
That's in the playoff conversation.
Exactly right. We'll see where this goes. But I think there's going to be plenty of options. It's all just going to be about money and then the assets you're willing to give up to go for the player.
Kind of like every team, if you have a Saquon Barkley, every team's going to want a Saquon Barkley.
Yeah,
and if you have a Saquon Barkley, you're never going to give up a Saquon Barkley.
Exactly right. I mean, the only teams that are like the teams like that won't be interested are teams that are going to go, wait, we have one superstar pass rusher, and the other guy we have is real good too, so we don't need like another one.
But who knows? Even those teams might
they
make
room
room for him, right?
It's just like, all out on that department.
Our pass rusher who's pretty good, all of a sudden now he's traded or elsewhere, or the third string guy, and you have some depth there. Which, as the Detroit Lions showed me this past year, you do need some depth. Depth at defensive end. Pete is saying something right now, something funny on Twitter. Pete, what is it? Oh, okay. There's something that's Kristen's going to pull up here from Twitter, apparently, that reaction to Myles Garrett, the big news here on Radio Row. This is from McNeil. Andrew Barry, don't worry. We're going to rebuild this thing. And then and then he's out.
He's out.
You go, that's not we. Who are you talking about? We.
Yeah, he's right.
It's like the Magic Johnson meme where you go, I ain't gonna be here.
Uncle Carl's like, yeah, see you later. No, you can rebuild this shit. I'm going somewhere else to play. See you later. I'm going to win somewhere now. He doesn't want to deal with that.
I thought we were a team. And I thought we were trying to win. So that's the big news. Huge news that you will hear on every single podcast that is in this building over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, they are. I mean, no doubt about that. And I know, I wish I could give you a more concrete answer of teams that would be interested in all that, but
I think
we've hit on it, and I think everybody's gonna turn over that rock a little bit and do their due diligence to see what it takes to get him.
So I did a little head fake of a segue a little bit ago when I brought up Saquon Barkley, and I tried to needle you a little bit because your Giants said we don't need Saquon Barkley anymore, and now he's in the Super Bowl. Right. So as we transition now to the most important non-quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, because the quarterbacks are going to get all the love. I mean, you're going to be talking about Jalen Hurts. Everyone's going to be talking about Patrick Mahomes this whole time. They don't need more love from Chris. They've gotten enough love from you, especially Mahomes. Maybe not Hurts, but Mahomes has definitely gotten enough. So we wanted to put you to work on the plane, and you ranked your top 10 non-quarterbacks who are the most important in this Super Bowl game. We're going to go 1 through 10.
Okay.
And just right off the bat, what did you consider? Did you consider like these players need to be good? These players, if they pop, then this will be tough for the other team to beat. Yeah. How did you attack this?
It's hard. That's what's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're like, wait, should I pick this player who I think has to play awesome, or should I pick this player who's not that good that has to play above and beyond what he usually plays, right? Right? There's some certain positional showdowns where you're like, well, wait, I'm just going to pick one of them, and then I can explain the other guy, too, in the bigger, broader conversation.
Like, this guy's not that important, but if he does play really well, it will be important in the game, but they can also win without him doing that.
It went to not only the player itself and how good he is and he can affect the game, but also, as we always talk about, it's a matchup league. And there's certain matchups within this game and the way the game is on the football field that, certain areas of the Eagles or the Chiefs are going to have to bend a little bit to what the other side does and go, oh, wait, this is not comfortable for us, but we got to change the way we play because this is a tough aspect of the matchup for us, right? Yeah. And that's where I think we'll be good here because I got a few interesting angles that I think will bring up a few different things here.
And we start at the top. Your number one most important non-quarterback is
Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's still Saquon Barkley. I thought about trying to be cute and come up with something different, but, I mean, Saquon Barkley is the best non-quarterback player on the football field here, right? It's rare, actually, where I think if you put the two teams up on a banner and you put biggest star from each team, we're in a Super Bowl, really, where you'd put Mahomes on one side and you put Saquon on the other. Really, right? I think so.
Yeah.
Right? And that's rare because usually it's quarterback on the big banner, right? But this would be one where you'd go, no, they can put, the running back on there. But Saquon just, of course, all that he does. And he affects the football game in so many ways. But, yeah, whether you want to talk about positive Eagles, right? If he rushes for over 150 and gets into those type of numbers, 150, 180, I got to sit here and go, ooh, that seems like the Eagles are going to win the football game, certainly, right? You know, also within why he's important to this, or the most, okay, he breaks big plays. Is he going to score a touchdown? Right, that's one thing. Like the Chiefs are fast. We don't see 80-yard touchdowns against the Chiefs very often, if you think about it. Right, so can they damage that bleed, or can they cover up that bleeding when he does break it and go, okay, he only got 20. He didn't rip it off for 70 and another touchdown, like we saw, you know, in the Rams game where he had 5 big runs and they all went for touchdowns, basically. Right, so that's where I look at that, and then also why he's the most important thing, because of. This is where it gets hard to do this, but the all that the Chiefs are going to have to do to worry about him all the time, and then all the stuff that opens up for the Eagles offense, because the Chiefs, of course, their number one thing, even in the first Super Bowl matchup when these two played, was stop the run. We laughed the day after the Super Bowl. I told you, I was like, some of the blitzes Spags brought on first down to stop the run plays were insane. And that's where, again, I think they're going to have to do some of that and take some chances as well. And that's why he's so important, right? If he goes for 150 or above, I have a hard time thinking they're going to lose.
Yeah.
If he goes for 110, 105, 95, that's when we get into then Jalen Hurts in the passing game better have had a good day, right? Because if it becomes Jalen Hurts kind of the way he was in the Rams game, and they can stop Saquon to 130, 120, I go, well, then the Chiefs won the game. That would be a basic thought of mine going into it on a stat line, unless something drastic happens.
DraftKings Sportsbook has the over-under at 113.5 rushing yards, so Saquon has cleared that in 8 of his last 10 games, including 5 straight, and so he has gone over 113.
It's hard to keep him under that number. Yeah. That number is, you know, again.
Well, you break 150-yarder, you're already
you're
almost halfway there.
Yeah. Exactly right. That's what he's been able to do. As we said in the Rams game, there was a lot of runs that were for no gain. 2 yards, 0 yards, -1, 50, 2 yards, 5 yards, 70, right? I mean, that's what it was. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that against the Chiefs, but will it be a consistent, 8, 10, 12, and they just slowly beat them down that way? Yeah, the Chiefs are going to have to worry about that.
Well, maybe he'll get the handoff.
Right.
Get right to the line of scrimmage, and then be stopped cold. Your number 2 most important non-quarterback in Super Bowl 59 is?
Chris Jones, number 95. Now, one, because of the things we're talking about. The Eagles, you know my thoughts on the Eagles offensive line. I think it's the best offensive line we've seen in the last 20 years in football. I wouldn't pick one. I think it's the best offensive line we've seen since the Cowboys in the 90s. I've said that too. The defensive line, right? I wanted to cheat and put defensive tackles in here, right? Because their defensive tackles are going to have to play above and beyond. This is one of those cases where both D lines in this game are being told, if you don't exceed what you normally do, we can't win the game, right? The front four for the Eagles is being told, if you can't get to Mahomes by yourself, we're not going to win the game, because if we blitz him, we're in trouble, right? Yeah. He's going to hurt us if we have to blitz him all the time. And the Chiefs D-line is different, where they're being told, if you don't stop Saquon and have the best run game defense of your life, we're not going to win the Super Bowl. So these be going crazy in the game. But Chris Jones, of course, is where it starts. Chris Jones is the guy on the Chiefs that can make the most up the plays happen for the Chiefs defense, right? And he's going to be the guy that attention's going to be on, right? When it's a 4-man rush, they're going to slide to him and make sure they get 2 bodies on him, right? Or to spag blitz and create some one-on-ones for him that he has got to win. Chris Jones isn't as good as he was 2 or 3 years ago, but he's still damn good. He really is. But he's going to have to play, I think, a monster football game here if the Chiefs want to win it. Yeah.
But to your point, if he does, it's hard to see how the Eagles can have a whole lot of success on the offensive side of the ball. So
Noddy, him, Pennell. Right, I would think we're going to see some of those 3 defensive tackle sets, but Jones is, of course, the leader of that group there, and the guy that's able to make the most happen outside of what the coaches coach, right?
So Pete has come through here. We said there was no Super Bowl trivia.
Oh.
Pete felt bad, felt like it was an attack on his character, which maybe it was, and so he has produced in real time some trivia in our pod. So how many sacks does Chris Jones have in 4 career Super Bowls?
Okay. It's not many. It's not
he's
many
effing up the play. He doesn't need to get the sack.
He's effed up the play. He's had a lot of batted balls. I'm going to say in the 4 career Super Bowls, I honestly, I'm going to say 0. I think he's got 0.
0. Da 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 da.
I'm good.
Just 2 quarterback hits. Both were last year.
Right.
So
he's never. I couldn't remember a sack off the top of my head. I do remember pushing the pocket and batted balls, right?
Yeah.
That was the big thing. And again, that speaks to the Super Bowl and teams, they have extra time to prepare, and they make sure usually the center and the guard are on him.
Don't let this guy
Don't let this guy ruin it for us, like you said.
So 21 career playoff games, just 3.5 sacks there.
Yeah.
But 20 quarterback hits.
Well, it's a little bit too like we talk about, like what we were saying with Saquon. It's all that he does. Not only is he good, but it's the other team, and they have to game plan and kind of worry about him so much that it helps out the rest of the defense. And that's the Chris Jones effect. But I think he's going to have to do a little more statistically in this game than he has in these other Super Bowls if they want to win.
So 1 Eagle,
Yep.
1 Chief.
Yep.
Number 3 will break a brief tie. Your number 3 most important non-quarterback player in this game is?
Trent McDuffie, corner for the Chiefs, number 22. That's right. McDuffie, I think you know from what we've talked about here on the pod, is my number 2 cornerback in football, right? We always talk about Pat Surtain is the best corner.
I thought he was number 3. I thought Surtain was 1 and 2.
And you're right. We did say
3.
that. You're right. It is 1 and then 2 and then McDuffie. But McDuffie is special.
Yeah.
And why I say this, because, I mean, obvious reasons. One, we just talked about they got to go all out to stop the run. Well, what the does that mean in the back end? That means they got to play some man-to-man. That means we talked about in the Bills matchup, they will play some matchups where they'll go, hey, it's 3rd and 8. You take A.J. Brown, or maybe it's Devontae Smith. I don't know who it's going to be, right? But let's just say I have a feeling it's going to be Devontae Smith. I would bet he's going to take Devontae Smith, and then they're going to go, now let's move the other 7 guys. Let's kick them over to A.J. Brown and the other guys and just really make it cloudy over there, right? Because A.J. Brown's such a tough one-on-one matchup.
Well,
what's the
height difference there, you think?
Yeah, McDuffie's probably like 5'11", maybe 5'10 and a half. I'm going to say 5'11", and then A.J. Brown's 6'1 and a half.
A.J. Brown's 6'1",
yeah.
Yep.
And McDuffie, I believe, is 5'11 and a half. It's a...
McDuffie is 5'11".
Okay, yep. I'm usually pretty good at remember that. It's
a couple inches on him.
It is. It's
not
a
as much as
inches.
I maybe thought, but yeah.
No,
still.
I know. It seems different because AJ is just such a big human being. AJ, where he really gets you with his size is his strength.
Box out ability.
McDuffie, corners like him, Marshawn Lattimore, they think usually they can out-physical other receivers. When you play A.J. Brown, you usually lose that physical battle.
He's got about 30 pounds, 35 pounds on
A.J.
him.
Brown is rocked. I mean, he is jacked, right? He really is. But that, to me, is huge because, yes, whether it's 1st down and McDuffie's got to play man-to-man on an island because they're loading the box to stop the run, or if it's 3rd and 8 and they go, hey, you got Devontae Smith and now we're going to kick coverage and do all this crazy shit over here to stop everything else. I just think that's a huge part of the football game. And, of course, I mean, McDuffie's going to be under it. I got to think they're going to have to put they're going to have to put pressure on McDuffie in this game because of the Eagles' O-line and the run game and all the stress they put on you. They might have to gamble with McDuffie man-to-man on an island, or maybe a little more than they even normally do, which we know they're willing to do that.
And when you were talking to our friend Dan Patrick, you gave a compliment to Jalen Hurts, and people might think, like, oh, no, you're always a hater on Jalen Hurts. He's screaming at you from behind our set. But you said he's one of the best deep ball throwers that you think in the NFL, and so that is a point of this game where it's just like that could be a difference-making part of this game.
We're not talking about quarterbacks here on this list, but Jalen Hurts and the way the Chiefs, I think, are going to have to play him, and we'll get into some more Jalen Hurts stuff, I would think he's going to have some downfield opportunities. And if he plays like he did in the NFC Championship game, they're going to be tough to beat. But if he plays like he did in the Rams game or the Packers game, then it's going to be tough for them to beat the Chiefs. And that's what we got to see here. But he's certainly going to have some opportunities. And, I would think some of these go balls are going to look real good to him on film when he sees these type of coverages.
McDuffie allowed 3 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets in Super Bowl 57 against the Eagles a couple years ago.
Right. McDuffie's a hell of a play. That was his rookie year, too. Let's not forget. And Devontae, I do think, had one really good go route on him during that game.
So there's your top 3 off the podium, but just barely. Number 4, your most important non-quarterback is?
I mean, one of my faves, you know that, Jalen Carter. I love Jalen Carter. I don't think anybody is surprised by that altogether here. And Jalen Carter's another one of these guys where it's like, I could have maybe made him 3. I could have maybe made him number 2. He's the biggest game wrecker in this game on the defensive line. There's no doubt about that. The best defensive player in this game is Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is arguably the best defensive player in football. And why I say this in this game, too, is because, okay, one, he's awesome and he can wreck the game and be in Mahomes' face where he can't move and slide in the pocket, stop the run, do all that. We talked about a weak link on the Chiefs' offensive line in Caliendo. They're going to have to be worried about Jalen Carter on Caliendo, because if Jalen Carter and Caliendo are one-on-one, then, guess what's going to happen? Jalen Carter's going to win that matchup all day long. So but as good as the Eagles' D-line is, the Chiefs can't just always be doubling Jalen Carter and then just always letting their tackles be man-on-man and everybody else. So that's where he puts so much stress on them. I would think they try to favor doubling him when he's on Caliendo, and if he's on Trey Smith on the right side, maybe you could take some chances and let him go mano-a-mano there a little bit. But he is going to be an issue for them, right? The Chiefs are not a very good running football team this year. They just stay patient with it and keep the attempts up. I don't think they're going to be able to run it in this capacity. Where I think Jalen Carter is going to help with the run is Mahomes scrambling. That's where it's going to be big. When Mahomes likes to drop back real deep and he creates these lanes where he can sneak through and go run for yardage, Jalen Carter, and whether he can get a sack, stop him from getting or making some negative plays there, that'll be a huge part of the football game.
Yeah, your love of Jalen Carter cannot be denied if you've listened to this podcast long enough. But if you look at the whole body of work, I think the PFF grade actually is not
It's not as good as it should be.
So it's not as good as it should be.
Right.
I think your argument would be at points in a game, he takes over a game unlike any other defensive tackle.
That's
correct?
exactly it.
But does he do that consistently enough, and will he be able to do it in this game?
Right.
They
ask him to play a lot. That is one thing I think has been amazed by everybody. Like, even when I talk to other teams, right, they're like, we're actually shocked that they keep him on the field that much, right? He's on the field about as much as any D tackle in football. So he does have some moments of where you go, he's kind of catching his breath, right? And you try taking on double teams play after play after play, right? And you go, damn, I've been in for 45 of the last 50 snaps. They've double teamed me on, 40 of those 45 snaps. Yeah, you're going to get a little tired. But the other thing, too, and where I wanted to go there, with Jalen Carter, damn, I was going to bring up another point. I forgot it. You were saying, what did you say there?
About he can take over a game more than any other D2 at some point.
Yeah, but I lost what I was going to say.
I just had great points, and you're just like, Ahmed made them all.
No, I think you might have. I think that really might have been. But yeah, he can be that guy.
Hey, here's the good news. You're going to be here all week. If it comes back to you, you're going to be able to
come back in 2 minutes. You know that. I'll interrupt you in a second.
While we're talking about your number 5 most important non-quarterback, a teammate of Jalen Carter on the other side of the ball, and it is
A.J. Brown. Yeah. A.J. Brown, the best receiver in this football game. And I just say A.J. Brown, again, a little bit of what we talked about with Trent McDuffie. He's got to win those one-on-one matchups, or whoever it is, okay? Let alone, right, it also can't be, they've kicked coverage, they're putting a safety over the top of them, then we just can't forget about A.J. Brown.
Which happens. Happens more times than you would think.
That's why I'm putting him in this, not only because of what he can do, but also to say, hey, Eagles, you can't do this. You can't go to the third quarter and we go, well, A.J. Brown's only had 1 target so far. If you do that, to me, you're playing with fire that way.
Yeah.
And we saw that again in the divisional round and a little bit in the wild card round. They are a better team when they feed A.J. Brown. That scares the shit out of a defensive coordinator when they go, wait, they keep giving it to that running back who can score from anywhere, and they keep throwing it to that receiver who can score from anywhere. And that's the other aspect of why I put A.J. Brown here as number 5, is just because it is one where I go, hey, we know Saquon's going to make a few plays. Yeah. AJ's got to make, to me, a few plays in this game. Whether it's like he did in the first Super Bowl, he caught that deep post corner for a deep touchdown, right? Or does he catch a slant a few times and scare the Chiefs out of like loading the box, right? So we're worried about the run, but damn, he's catching a slant, he's breaking a tackle and getting 20 yards on 5-yard throws every time we do it. So now we got to change the way we want to play on the defensive side of the ball. That's where A.J. Brown is really important to me in this matchup.
I mean, in this playoff so far against the Packers, 3 targets, just 1 catch, 10 yards, was reading a book on the sideline. That was the book game, inner excellence.
Right.
And then next game, they tried to get him the ball a little bit more, 7 targets, but 2 catches, 14 yards.
2 drops.
And a couple drops. And then last game, they were able to connect with 96 yards and that touchdown. But yeah, they haven't always needed him. But DraftKings over-under on him is 70.5 receiving yards. Brown has cleared that in just 3 of his last 8 games.
They flirt with danger when they don't, though. That's the point, right? And this is not the flirt with danger game. Like, again, everybody knows if this game's a field goal and all these the cameraman, everybody here, if this game's a field goal and Mahomes has got the ball late in the game, we know what's happening. It's like, are they going to tie it or are they going to win it, right? They're going to have to, like, go late into the football game with a significant lead here in this one. And that's where, like, the Packers game, the Rams game were a little dicey. Oh, the game he had 96 yards, that wasn't the dicey one, right? Because now it's like Washington's like, oh, shit, we can't stop him in the pass game. We can't stop the run game. What do? We don't know what to do here. And that's where, the Eagles, when they're at their best, they put you in that conundrum.
He did have 96 yards and a touchdown in the Super Bowl 2 years ago against Kansas City, but the Chiefs had Patrick Mahomes.
I remembered what I wanted to say about Jalen Carter.
I knew it was going to. All right, what is it?
Here's another thing with the grading and why he's wrong.
Okay.
Why they can be wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not attacking any one specific site.
No, but you're talking about PFF here.
You're such a dick. I'm not. The one, he will freelance from time to time, right? He might be responsible for this gap, and he just goes, well, I'm going to make the guy miss, and I'm going to just go this gap, and I'll make the tackle. And then he might miss the tackle, which will be a negative, right? But you still go, oh, my gosh, that was unbelievable. The other thing is he's asked to do some things that I don't think most normal D tackles are allowed to do. And if you watch film and you didn't have a little nuance about, I'm lucky that I played in the NFL and was taught some things, right, by some smart people, to where I'd go, I know that doesn't look right, but he was asked to do that.
Yeah.
He was asked to do that. He's asked to be like, hey, you just stay on the backside here in case the quarterback keeps the ball in the read option. And it might look like he's being lazy and not attacking the ball at the front side. But they ask him to do some unique things, too, that I think hurt his grades at times.
All right.
Sorry. Just wanted to do that to you.
Well, now that confuses everything. I have no idea even where we are. No idea still know here. So we got two Eagles back-to-back. Got to go Chiefs here. Got to even things out. Number 6 in your most important non-quarterback, our first non-player.
You know it. The Spags, baby.
Spags.
How can you not talk about Super Bowl and not talk about Spags? He's the clutchest defensive coordinator in the history of football, really. I mean, what he's done. We waxed poetically in the first Super Bowl matchup because I was like, I can't believe this guy had the guts to call this blitz on 1st and 10 at midfield. He's doing this, and he's going to have to do some crazy shit like that once again. Because we know the Eagles, they're super talented. They're an all-star team. The Chiefs do not match up with them in every area. But as getting into our brains versus brawn team, right? The Eagles are the brawn, this is what we do, screw you, you can't stop it. The Chiefs are like, we're going to shift, we're going to pirouette, we're going to get in weird huddles, we're going to do that on defense, we're going to bring crazy blitzes, and we're going to try to confuse you because we're not as talented as you, but we think we can equal the gap a little bit with our creativity and scheme, right?
Yeah.
And that's where Spags will have to be special in this one. He's going to have to find the right touch of when to run blitz, when to drop into zone, when do I double A.J. Brown and put, McDuffie on Devontae Smith? When do I just put McDuffie on A.J. Brown and go that way, right? Is there a defense I hold back till the 3rd and 4th quarter because they aren't prepared for it? So there's just so many things. And Spags, of course, with this offense and the talent they have in that O-line, yes, he's going to have to come up with another masterful game plan for them to win this one.
And might be able to utilize your number 7 guy in a unique way, or he might have to step up. You think he does? Number 7 most important non-quarterback in this game is?
Jalen Watson. All right, I was almost just going to put other corner opposite of McDuffie, right? Right.
Yeah.
Watson's got special attributes. He can fly, and he's long, right? Him and Josh Williams both got that. But there's going to be some plays where, and again, I don't know, they're going to go, McDuffie, you're man-to-man on Devontae Smith. Hey, Jalen Watson, we need you to take A.J. Brown here, man-to-man. Like, you got to take him. We're a little scared. It's 2nd and 4. They brought in 2 tight ends. Calcaterra's in and Goddard's in, and we're worried about they're going to smash us, smash the ball right down our face here. We got to ask you to play man-to-man. He's definitely going to be asked to be in some situations like that a handful of times in this game. And can he just hold up in those moments? That's going to be the big thing. Or is it a go route by Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown, he gets beat for a touchdown? Or is it a slant to A.J. Brown and he breaks the tackle from Jalen Watson? So that's where I say it. There's no way they can help him out all game long. He's going to have a few plays where he's going to be on an island, and hopefully he can come through.
What was his injury all year? He was out for
He was out for what, 5, 6 weeks?
No, longer than that. So
yeah,
it was week 8 against the Raiders. He was done. He must have got hurt against
just before
the 49ers.
The playoffs?
And then came back and has played against Houston and Buffalo now.
So it's just the 2. He didn't even get back for that last regular. I thought maybe he got back for that last regular season game and got it maybe ready there. But no. All right, so that's big. That's big. They need him. And like I said, he does have the attributes to match up with a guy, especially like Devontae Smith, who's a skinnier, longer guy, and he's similar to that as well.
Yeah, it was a fractured ankle that took him
ankle.
out.
I was going to say foot, but okay.
Which is crazy. Sometimes you think that gets someone out for the rest of the year. But he's back in the playoffs right now, played 71% of the snaps in the AFC Championship game. Number 8, it's another Chief here. We're going back to the other side of the ball. Your number 8 most important non-quarterback in the Super Bowl is?
Hollywood Brown. Look, you're not going to see Travis Kelce on this list, everybody. All right, so I'm just spoiling it right now.
Xavier Worthy?
He ain't going to be on there.
Xavier Worthy?
Xavier Worthy, I'm almost saying is a given, right? That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They're going to give him the ball and find some ways. They don't fall into the A.J. Brown Eagles thing, right? Where they're a little bit like, I mean, we've watched the last half of the year. The first 10 plays of the game, almost every the first 10 plays, there's always 2 that go to Xavier Worthy, right? A reverse, a screen, a shot down the field. They're going to get him involved. So I'm not worried about that. Now, we can discuss how big an impact he'll have and all that. But my point of saying Hollywood Brown is, okay, Xavier Worthy's going to get the ball. Travis Kelce, it's all over the place. And I think they have the people to combat with the linebackers they have and C.J. Gardner-Johnson and the rest of the safeties they have, I think can kind of contain Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
They got to have – who's the other guy? That's my point. They're going to be aware of Kelce because they're going to go, even though he's not great anymore and all that, it's a big game and we know Mahomes will lean on him. I think they'll be ready for that. Xavier, like I said, they're going to find ways to get him the ball. But it can't just be those 2 guys. They don't run the ball as well as we've talked about. There has to be something else. And I could certainly see this being an Xavier Worthy having a good game, Travis Kelce not being really a part of it, and then us sitting there in the second quarter, early third going, who else is going to make a play here for the Chiefs offense? It can't just be Mahomes scrambling and making magic happen all the time, right? And that's where Hollywood Brown's been close, and I think this is the game he's got to play well. Not saying he's got to go like 7 for 120, but he's got to be on the stat sheet anywhere from 4 to 6 receptions for like 60 to 85 yards. He's got to be around that range, I think.
Yeah.
I do. Because you're not going to win this football game against this defense with, we got a few plays for Travis Kelce or a few plays for Xavier Worthy, and Mahomes he'll find Kelce with his magic. That's not going to happen against this Eagles defense. They're too damn good.
So DraftKings has the over-under for him currently at 41.5. Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
He has cleared that.
That's fair.
He's cleared that twice in 4 games.
Right.
Divisional round, he had no catches.
Yep.
But 3 in the AFC Championship game for 35 yards.
Beat somebody deep in the divisional round and dropped the ball.
Right.
So, but that's about where the over-under should be. That's why I'm saying it. It's got to be more than 41. It has to be. Or then maybe Kelce has to go off or something like that.
Right.
But there has to be another element of their offense that can make some plays for them in this football game. It can't just all be about Mahomes' magic. I find Kelce in a scramble play, and Xavier had 1 reverse and 1 go route. It's got to be more than that.
Yeah. Mahomes' magic does work quite often. We've even seen in the Super Bowl sometimes he needs to run around back there and make stuff happen under duress, but I wonder if that'll happen in this game.
Well, this is where...
Dang it, I was going a great transition to number 9
go
here.
Ahead,
but no, do it. No, you do it. Whatever you were going to say. The moment's passed, Pete.
It'll fit.
He's been running around in Super Bowls in the past, sometimes under duress. I wonder if that's going to happen in this one. Your number 9 most important non-quarterback in the Super Bowl is?
The tackles for the Chiefs.
Yes.
The tackles,
Thanks.
right?
Thanks for letting me do that.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. I just want to make your trip worthwhile right there. Now you're done.
Yeah. My wife will go, how did it go? I was like, it was pretty good. I had this one great segue that just Chris kind of walked over.
Yeah, but he let me do it again, and I mean, number 9 was great.
No one was any the wiser.
Well, all right, so
go back to what you were going to say.
No, it actually plays into this. That's why I was totally cool with it. It works just right. One, what we talked about with Hollywood, and now what I'm about to talk about with the tackles, and it plays a little into the Eagles' defense, and this is where this exercise gets hard because you're just like, wait, who do I blame in this triangle and say that's the most important thing? But Hollywood Brown, of course, got to be big. They got to be able to protect, right? We're going to get into that. The Eagles, as much as they play zone like we talked about a little last week, I got to think that's the one area that's got to concern them a little bit. If you think you're just going to line up and play, hey, we're going to line up and play Vic Fangio zones all day against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, again, I think it'll be like what we saw with the first 2 drives in the Bills game. It'll just be Mahomes like boom, 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 RPO, short pass. Oh, we're down the field, touchdown. Oh, we're going right down the field again. You want to keep playing zone, right? Oh, lucky I fumbled the handoff, right? So you got the ball back. Okay, but from that point on, the Bills went to man-to-man for the rest of the football game. this is where I get into the tackles is because, one, we know the Eagles got freak shows. Josh Sweat, who you just disrespected on the banner a little bit ago. You were like, Josh Sweat's on the banner? What are we doing?
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a big deal, but we only have one big banner here, and it's Jalen Hurts and Josh Sweat.
Right. And then there's the Chiefs one down there. But, yes, you're right. It's only one, and they went with those two guys.
And it's not like it's like, well, they had to pick someone on defense because the Chiefs one is Isaiah Pacheco, which is a little odd too, right?
They got the faces wrong on this one. Totally.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, first off, Josh Sweat over – first off, Jalen Carter just on the defensive side of the ball.
You got a lot of guys.
But
Darius
then
Slay.
Saquon, A.J. Brown, Darius Slay. I mean, all of them, right? I agreed with you there.
Okay, all right. Not that we needed to slander
Josh Sweat's awesome.
Sweat.
That's where we're going here.
Yeah.
Is because, yes, can those tackles be okay on their own? Can those tackles block Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat and Bryce Huff when he comes in the football game and, Jalix Hunt and Brandon Graham by themselves? Because if they have to start worrying about helping them and now leaving Jalen Carter in the middle by himself, then, they're going to be in trouble. Like, they're going to be in trouble. There's not enough guys. They got to be able to trust their tackles in this one more times than not to be able to block these guys and hope Mahomes can get the ball out quick. And that's where it went into my zone defense.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's going to be. If he plays zone defense, he might be able to get it out so quickly that they might not be able to ever get there. Right? Or can they find some new zones the way they play it to where they can go, they can get them to pat the ball just one extra time. We feel like we will get there, right? Or do they have to go, let's play some man-to-man and do that and maybe blitz one guy so they can't double any of our guys altogether,
right.
And we can just get 5 one-on-one matchups and see if we can win the game that way. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that as the game goes on because they're going to look at it and go, wait, 5 one-on-ones, we like 3 of ours. At least they're going to say, I like 3 of ours.
Yeah.
And the only thing is, what are you going to do in the back end to compound that? Are you going to play zone? Because if you play zone behind that too, again, there's one less guy in the zone, and then Mahomes is going to find the hole in the zone and get a completion, right? Or do you play man and take those chances and then have Mahomes, like we saw in the championship game, get to the man-to-man audibles and plays, and then you go, oh, shit, we can't ever be right here. That is where, it'll be a big part of this chess match.
That's why it is fascinating. I do like the way you've described this game as brains versus brawn because I do think it is the one thing. I think it's highly accurate on this game, and I also think it's one thing that both teams will take offense to. It's
I know.
The Chiefs will be like, we're tough, and the Eagles will be like, we're not dumb.
I want to say, I know.
Both teams will hate it.
Can I put that out there every time I say it? I kind of want to say that because you're right. Like, I always talk about the Chiefs' toughness goes underlooked, right? Yeah. Every Super Bowl, it's, can they stop the Eagles? Can they stop the 49ers and McCaffrey run game? In 2019, it was the 49ers run game, and they stop it, right? Derrick Henry in the AFC Championship, can they stop that when he was with the Titans? Oh, they stop it. So, yeah, they are, and the Eagles are not dumb. They're not dumb, but you know what I'm trying to say.
It's a good, simple headline. I do like it. It frames a lot of the argument as well.
Thank you.
All right, so number 10 now, we've reached the end of this list, so the least important, most important non-quarterback in the top 10 is still very important.
Yeah.
Is
Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, OC for the Philadelphia Eagles. And here it's twofold. One, you're dealing with Spags, right? So we've talked about Spags a bunch here and how magical he is. So you got to have a good game plan and be ready for all his blitzes and be able to pick all that stuff up and not, get your offense to not take a lot of negative plays, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes in a game like with Spags and the Chiefs, a 1-yard play is like, okay, that's good. That's good. I can't call the right play against that crazy defense all the time. So we just, hey, we'll be conservative, take our loss or our 1-yard gain, and we'll play the next down. Like, you got to be a little bit that way. But here's the biggest aspect, and we've hit on this a little bit. Kellen Moore is not only the game plan, but the wiring of Jalen Hurts for this matchup. We talk so positively about how he got him into some good plays in the NFC Championship game. Something we've talked about all year. They waste plays. They're too good to waste plays, right? This is the defense that is the king of making you look like you waste plays. Like, we're in cover 2. We're just playing coverage. Blue 45, and just as you're about to go set hut, all of a sudden it all changes. And you're like, set hut. Oh, shit, they're all blitzing, and I got a middle run, and they're blitzing 5 guys up the middle, right? That's where they're phenomenal that way, Spags and company. They got to be able to get out of a few of these situations. You're not going to get out of all of them because Spags is going to trick you every now and then. Like we talked about, he tricked Tom Brady. He's tricked Mahomes. He's tricked everybody.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, right. He tricks everybody. So, but can you just save a few of those plays? And on a few of those plays, can you maybe get to a play that you're like, oh my gosh, we got him in the defense, like the first play against Washington. We talked about it all week. I checked to it. I tossed it to Saquon Barkley. See a touchdown, right? Can we catch him in that moment a few times? I see the corner blitz coming. We've worked on a play the last 2 weeks that's totally going to screw them over. Check, check, check. Black 58 cat, black 58 cat. Get to it. Oh, no, they're screwed, right? And that is where I get into Kellen Moore. The combination, and this is where I cheated with Jalen Hurts a little bit, but their ability just to combat Spags and the Chiefs' defense and all they do at the line of scrimmage a handful of times during the game will go over huge. Because as we talked about in the first Super Bowl matchup, there was a few plays that they're definitely going to look back at and go, damn, I mean, I can't believe we let them do that to our offense and put us into 2nd and 15 so many times or whatever else.
You haven't always been impressed with Kellen Moore as a play caller.
Right.
Has that changed at all over the last year?
I like Kellen Moore as a play caller. I'm just going to say I'm not wowed by him, right? He's in that class of like, hey, he's really good. If he's your O coordinator, he's really good. But is he in that special class that you and I talk about so much? No, not quite there yet. I'd like to see a little bit more. But I never come away and go, well, that was stupid, or they're so horribly coached, or whatever. It's just a little bit more of like, I wish there was just a little more to the offense, right?
How would he be as a head coach?
That is a big question for me, certainly.
Is this a slam dunk with New Orleans, or does it seem like it's going
right
that way?
It feels that way, right. You know, he's got a baby face, okay?
Yeah.
He just got let go and the Chargers last year. The year before that, he got led by the Cowboys. And then it's like, oh, you came with the all-star team, and now you're going to head coach, right? I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. So, again, I don't mean to disrespect there. I'm just kind of laying out, I think, the obvious things there that a football fan would go through in their mind. I do like his offense. I just don't think I don't love it. That's all there is to it.
Anyone that you have not mentioned so far that you want to apologize for not putting him in the top 10?
No, I mean, I thought about C.J. Gardner-Johnson because I think he's going to be like the guy that might get matched up on Kelce a handful of times during the football game. I thought about Travis Kelce, right? Yeah. I thought about Taylor Swift. I mean, no, I didn't. I'm just joking. but the other one is Zach Bond. Zach Bond is on my text that I write to my wife with all the names and all that. Was one of the names I wrote down. And a little bit just more because, again, the brains aspect of the Chiefs, the shifting the formations, all the crazy formations, the motions. He's going to have to be the quarterback of the defense to make sure he gets everybody aligned the right way, let alone he'll be the guy if they want to rush 4 and lanes possess or start to open up for Mahomes to run and scramble.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be the guy that's going to have to run him down and make the tackle. So I thought about him. He certainly was one. I know Pete's got Quinyon Mitchell up there. I did think about him too. My big thing with them is I just don't know how much man-to-man they'll play in the football game. So that's why I kind of left some of the corners out in the Philadelphia matchup.
Yeah, if they don't have a wow game or make big plays, will it matter as much?
Exactly. I don't know either. I don't know. So, we'll see. We'll see.
I want that to be a headline here at Radio Row. Chris Simms texts his wife names of random football players like Zach Bond. She'll be sitting there. All of a sudden, you'll say,
like, let me look up Zach Bond. Is he handsome?
Because you're making your list of your top 10, and you're trying to remember for yourself, and so you want to put it in a text. You send that to your wife.
I do it all the time.
Just sits around, randomly hears her phone ping, and it's you sending a text that says Zach Bond.
Yeah, right. Or I usually preface it with, like, incoming football text, right? Or disregard, right? Don't pay attention.
Yeah.
But I do this, like, even on Championship Sunday, I'm sitting there, and she's sitting next to me, and I'm still texting her all my thoughts about the game because it's just when we're on air, we're doing the pod.
Yeah.
It's just an easy way for me to go, okay, wait, let me look up wife. I know wife has got all the things I need there, right? She's my wife. Happy wife, happy life. She makes my life better. It makes it all work, right?
All right. I like that. I don't think anyone's going to be able to argue with those top 10. Actually, I take that back. Everyone can argue with that top 10. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going into the mailbag. The homies have given us some questions that we have to answer, and we will do that when we come back.
Super Bowl.
DraftKings Sportsbook has the odds to have a sack in Super Bowl 59, or at least team up on a sack, a half a sack in this one. Your favorite, George Karlaftis, plus 101. Nolan Smith right behind him. Chris Jones there as well. Jalen Carter, that's your top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes, we know, doesn't take a lot of sacks. He's magical at getting out of trouble. I was going to bring up Karlaftis a little bit in our top 10 most important players.
Okay, do it now then.
Well, yeah, can those guys off the edge get there against what I think is the best tackle duo in football? That's going to be huge. We saw Jared Verse have his way with Mailata a little bit. I've never seen anybody do that to Mailata. But then we didn't hear about anybody on Washington to even get close to Jalen Hurts, right? So they corrected. But, yeah, it's going to be big on Karlaftis, whoever else is the other DN on the other side, whether that's Dana, Omenyehu, or no, I was going to say Anaduke, right?
Yeah.
From the second-year kid from Kansas State.
And you did. You ended up saying that.
I did. Somewhat. Felix, right. But, like, I look at those, and I'm shocked that Karlaftis is the highest guy out there.
You are.
I am a little bit. To me, it's Nolan Smith or Jalen Carter. That's where I would start. One, just because I think they're the most talented pass rushers, and they don't have to face the Eagles' O-line because they're on the Eagles. So that would be the ones I would put money on early on.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns, and customers can get their Super Bowl 59 touchdown bet matched as a bonus bet. So how about that?
Wow, I like that. Download the app. Use promo code UNBUTTON when you sign up.
DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. You can take it home. You can put it on your shelf. Do anything you want with it because it is yours. All right. And also what is yours are the questions that you have submitted to us.
Damn, I miss these. I really do.
I like these. I do too. Because they're things that we don't think about sometimes, and the homies think about it.
Well, and then some of the homies are from these places, so they have a little bit of like they hearing talk radio all the time. They're like, our seventh string D tackle isn't good enough. What do you think, Chris? Is our seventh string D tackle? You know, they're a little more in the weeds.
Totally.
And that's what I appreciate about
and
the
they go, well,
questions.
we're going to put Chris in the barn. He's gonna have an answer. 8 pages of notes later, he'll tell you all about them. This one's about the Eagles D line. Comes from Cougs. Says there's been a lot of debate online. Wanted to get your thoughts, so here's that debate. They've been going back and forth. Which defensive line is better, the Eagles in 2024 or the Eagles in 2022?
I want to say, now I know that one had more sacks, right? They broke the record for sacks in a season. They had beaten the 85 Bears, right? So that's special stuff. But they did it in a different way, okay? They did it, Gannon was not afraid to blitz and pressure and be that way a little bit too and be aggressive. I think this one's better, okay? And I say it and I don't, take this lightly because let's just talk about some of the people that were on the 2022 team.
Well, Hassan Reddick 16 sacks that year. Javon Hargrave had a big year, 11 sacks.
Exactly right. Josh Sweat is still on that team, right? The guy you disrespected that's looking over you right now. Fletcher Cox, right? And Brandon Graham. So, I mean, this is tough picking. I'm going to go with the one that we got right now, though. I am. I think what I look at right now is the interior two, to me, are better than those interior two. Fletcher Cox is a Hall of Famer to me, but this is towards the end of his career. Javon Hargrave is real good, but I still think I'd rather have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis than those two, right? Now, the edge guys, that's where we get into it's tight. I'm a huge fan of Nolan Smith, though. I am. And Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham are still on the team, so it's not like I have to pick this guy or that guy. They're still here.
Yeah.
So I think I go with this team. And the fact that they don't blitz much, right? They really put pressure on their front four, run game and pass game, and they come through. And I think that's why I'll go with this one.
Graham might not play in the game, actually, coming off IR still.
But he's been
still
practicing.
Still there.
They said he says he's felt good in practice, so we'll see where it goes. Hopefully he can play. I want to see him play. He's a legend, and this could be his last game ever, right? So that'd be cool to see him.
All right. Along those same lines with the Eagles D-line, Mark Floyd wants to know, how will the Chiefs O-line neutralize the Eagles D-line? Could we see a Super Bowl like Bucs and Chiefs, like we alluded to before from a few years ago, where Mahomes is running for his life?
Well, here's two things. I don't think we'll see that. I understand the question totally, right? There is similarities. One, this Chiefs O-line is still better than that Chiefs O-line who lost both their starting tackles right before that game. And if you remember, Mahomes is hurt going into the game too. So he had a bad foot that he had to get surgery on 2 days after the Super Bowl, right? So he wasn't himself. Also in that Super Bowl, that was what Super Bowl? That was the Super Bowl where everyone finally just was like, man, playing zone, playing man, the hell with playing aggressive defenses. We're just going to drop back because we're not sure Mahomes knows how to be patient yet. We don't know. He hadn't really cracked that code of his career yet. It was only his third year as a starter. The 2 years before that, it was just shoo, 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 bombs away. I do whatever I want. I'm the man, right? He's different this way now where they didn't we talked at that time. They have to grow their short passing game inventory. Now they got one of the best short passing games in football. You can't play zone against them anymore, what we just talked about, right? So that's where they're a little different. And also what they did to combat that too is they're a good wide receiver screen team. He gets the ball in the shotgun and throws it out there, whether it's an RPO or a screen altogether, it looks the same, right? Their RPO game, I think, is even way better than it was with the Bucs. So that's where I think it's a little different altogether as far as this time around.
Now, the Eagles maybe 2 years ago would have gotten to him more, but remember the field and the slippage
that was a
that was
huge
happening
deal,
there?
right? Hopefully that is not a problem. It won't be enterprise field turf here, right? Yeah, but that was an annoying, unforeseen circumstance in that game that I definitely feel like hurt the Eagles more than the Chiefs.
Affected the game 100%.
Yeah, totally.
And a 3-point game might have been the difference.
Right.
Travis Kelce question coming at you from Coach Amorum. Says, could this be Travis Kelce's last game? If so, where does he rank among all tight ends in history? He has one more year left on his contract, but I get that vibe a little bit too from 100%. Travis Kelce.
I could tell you I get that vibe, and I get it from the vibe of people in football. So I know there's where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
35 years old.
So I wouldn't be shocked if they won the Super Bowl and then he came out in the post-game press conference like sing some New Orleans songs. Like last year he sang Viva Las Vegas, sing some crazy song, and then just like, I'm out of here. I'm going touring with Taylor.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked. Okay, so, and then the second part of that question.
Yeah, where does he rank all time?
I mean, he's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's upper tier of the Hall of Fame like we talk about, right, where the special players are, where Dion and Brady and, Mahomes and Reggie White, right, and Lawrence Taylor are, right?
Yeah.
He's in that class. So first ballot, slam dunk. The best tight end I ever saw in my life is Rob Gronkowski. I'm just going to say that right off the bat.
It's not better than Gronkowski.
Gronk was the biggest mismatch in the pass game I've ever seen, and Gronk in the run game was like having an extra tackle on the football field in the run game. He destroyed people that way. So I go with him there. But after that, that's where you get to him, Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp. Who else am I missing? I mean, I know Mike Ditka back in the day, John Mackey. I'm still even missing some other ones probably here, modern day. But either way, he's definitely top 3 or 4. Yeah, top 3 or 4 all time. I think
Brock Bowers, you got to throw him in there now.
He's on his way there. Antonio Gates, right? He would be one I'd look at. Jason Witten, Ozzie Newsome. He's throwing some names in my He's above really most of those guys on that list, right? So I think we're talking about top 3 tight end all time. Yeah.
We got one about Jalen Hurts here.
Right.
Better at betting. How will the Eagles handle Spags? Jalen has been freezing up a bit versus pressure. Feel like they have the man beaters, Brown, Smith, and Goddard, an offensive line to move the ball well in the air against Kansas City, but will they? So a little more Jalen Hurts focused here. How will he handle his second Super Bowl?
This is a good question, and these are the things we talked about, right? This is a little bit what we talked about in our top 10 list when we got to the Kellen Moore stuff, is that, they got to be a little more well-equipped at the line of scrimmage to combat some of the things Spags does. That's going to be a big part of the football game. And he doesn't need to reinvent the wheel or go crazy here. He just, when Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown are open for a game, he's got to hit them, right? That's going to be the big thing here. I don't look at it and go like I said, he doesn't have to throw for 350. It just can't be throw for 110 or 115 like we saw some of the games at the end of the season and all of that. Right, it's just got to be a little bit better than that. But I would think the quarterback design run game also is a bigger part of this game. Just because, hey, it's the last game of the year. What are we saving you for? They do some crazy shit, and usually you can find an advantage with the quarterback design run. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him with 2 or 3 big runs in the game.
All right, we got to take one more break. When we come back, some more of the AMAs. These are more broad, not just on the Super Bowl here, and so these are good ones for us. I've looked ahead. I've seen these already. So we have that. Plus, as Pete said before, we have a shocker at the end of the pod. This is
you know yet?
I'm curious now what this whole thing is. That's coming up next. Chris, you will be live on Bourbon Street.
Oh, man.
Look at you.
Bourbon and Chris. What a mix.
Oh, my God.
Match made in heaven. And a street named after bourbon? I've actually never really drank bourbon. I kind of want to try it, actually.
Wait, what? You've never? What do you mean?
Really, actually have not. I've been talking about it lately. I've never really dove into the dark liquors. I've never gone dark liquor, really.
Wow.
Other than like a Niejo tequila.
When we had Woodford Reserve as part of our sponsorship team, did you not have some Woodford Reserve then?
I did not. I still actually have one bottle in perfect condition, not even opened up.
I think I got that for you, yeah.
Yeah.
It's aging.
It is. It's aging. Exactly right. But I think I do want to try that. But, yeah, we're going to be excited. Pat O'Brien's going to have a little fun. Definitely going to have a few cocktails, have some fun there.
Reportedly, they invented the hurricane there.
That's impressive. I know of the hurricane. I never think I've ever drank it.
It's like a slushy,
right?
But they just throw alcohol in it.
Yeah, right.
Like, I love – so
Things
I
you
love –
drank in college.
Exactly. I love New Orleans. I think it's like one of the most unique. There it is right there. It's just sugar. It's like Kool-Aid with alcohol in it.
That's why I probably got so hungover in college, because I drank shit like that.
I had one of those a few years ago. I was like, okay, I get it, And then I had a po' boy sandwich too, and Pete ordered one not that long ago. It's the big thing. You come to New Orleans, you get a po' boy sandwich.
Sure.
I'm also underwhelmed a little bit by the po' boy sandwich because it's a hoagie roll, which is common, right?
Sure.
Lettuce, tomato, common,
right.
And then just some battered shrimp on top.
Yeah, I know.
Or fish.
It's just like it's their own little flair of like what they are here. It's like,
I love New Orleans. I love cities having their own flair.
I want to try that though. I've never really had that one.
Let me know what you think.
I do. But I do love a good Italian hero and stuff like that, right? So this is I know going to be a little different.
Setting your expectations low for that.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes.
Either way, I'm ready for some gumbo and some other good stuff.
I had some jambalaya yesterday. Oh,
man.
yeah.
All right, good.
I only get 36 hours, so I got to take it all in. All right, ask me anything here. There's some broader questions here from the homies. Well done once again. This one comes from Standard Bike Repair. I don't know if that's a business or whatever. Hey, we support you, Standard Bike Repair, whatever you're doing. I wish there was a consolation bracket. Super Bowl. Audience gets to choose who they want to see.
Right.
So Detroit Lions. I mean, the obvious one is Lions and Bills, because I think most of the people, when the playoffs started, they're like,
the public was rooting for that.
Someone end a drought,
exactly.
That'll be
Two
a great
fresh
story.
Teams, right, that deserve to get there. Struggling, tortured fan bases. So I get that. Well, all right. So your consolation is Detroit versus
anybody, but
you probably would have liked the Chiefs into throwing the Chiefs.
I would have liked the Chiefs in there. Yeah, I wouldn't. The Bills, we saw that one. I think they would have had a hard time with it. Like, honestly, I think they had a better chance to beat the Chiefs than the Bills. Weirdly, I don't know if that would have happened, but yeah, that would be mine. Lions and Chiefs if we could do it over again.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm a loser. I don't know what to tell you.
This is the one you wanted.
I kind of am this guy.
And you would not
I didn't
be interested
think this
in any
would
other
happen.
one.
Don't get me wrong. I thought the Ravens would get here, and I thought the Bills might be able to pull off magic as we did our little playoff bracket before, right, to have fun. Before the playoffs started, I picked Ravens and the Bills to do it. But I do like this matchup. I am not one that's bored just because this happened 2 years ago. I'm amazed at what the Chiefs are doing. I'm amazed. I don't know if anybody it's amazing. 5 out of 6 Super Bowls. Got a chance to win 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right? That's crazy. The Eagles, as you've heard me say, it's the most well-built team I've seen in football. And they got to the Super Bowl as the better team just 3 years ago and couldn't win it. And here they are again going, I think we're better than them. Yeah. But it's the Chiefs, and we know how that goes, and their clutchness. So, yeah.
Pete's probably yelling at us. We totally broke the rules on that. That is not consolation. That is the actual Super Bowl. But you'd probably go Bengals and Packers to see what it would look like. That was your preseason
You're right.
pick,
That
right?
might have been a good one.
Let's see what that turns into.
What it looked like. Right.
Both healthy and everything. This comes from Thomas Reagan. With the Chiefs' number 1 receiver this year being Xavier Worthy, has the league's view changed about wide receiver size?
I don't think so.
For the draft?
I don't think so all the way, but I think there are exceptions, right? Zay Flowers, he'd be one, right? Because there's I think some of the smaller guys stronger than their size actually is, and then there's such speed and quickness and explosiveness that you go, this makes up for the lack of size.
That prototype of the Chris Olaves, the Devontae Smiths, you see more often,
Definitely
right?
happening.
Rules protecting some of those guys a little bit more than in the past.
I think so, that too, right? They're guys that have elite traits in some areas where you can go, they can run by anybody. So they're capable of doing that. Xavier Worthy, the one thing and I didn't love Xavier coming out in the draft. I think he was my 6th ranked receiver. He didn't even make my top 5, right? But I know the teams that did like him, one of the aspects they brought up is he's tougher and more physical than his size would lead you to believe. And you did see that on film. He wasn't a guy that was like, oh, no, people are about to hit me. Let me dive to the ground. He'd put his shoulder down. He tried to get some extra yards.
Yeah.
Right? So I think there'll be certain cases. Lad McConkey, right? He's a smaller guy, great first year. But, we use him in certain areas in the football field. We're not asking him to beat Pat Surtain one-on-one on the outside all the time, right? So it's using those guys the right way, and there's got to be something else that makes up for the lack of size.
Yeah, and that's why it's difficult when you rank these guys, because you don't know exactly how the team is planning on using them. You have to rank them as, like, this guy could work in a lot of different systems when we do your draft rankings once again here. And I will say, as we get closer to draft season here, which is also Crush Chris Simms season, which is, we all appreciate that, and you'll get bagged on. Wide receiver rankings last year, and Pete is already ready for this. Like, we're going to do a victory lap on your wide receiver rankings last year.
But here's the lazy bullshit of, like, I wanted clicks. Like, I give a damn about clicks. Like, I mean, that's what drove me crazy.
And here's the thing that makes me angriest about the whole thing is that when you have a list that has Marvin Harrison 3 and Malik Neighbors number 1, and then here we are 12 months later, and I bet you a lot of fans out there would say, hey, would you take Xavier Worthy over Marvin Harrison? I actually might think of that. And if you would have said that at the time, like 12 months ago, you're trying to get clicks. And now a lot of people will be like, I might take Xavier Worthy over Marvin Harrison.
I know. It is. It's an unfortunate thing about doing that process every year, and then that some of the people don't revisit when they accuse people of being wrong and they were right. But if you were wrong, they love to just keep pointing out that you were wrong, right? That's for sure.
It's like we forget that in 12 months, everything could be different. We could completely be thinking the other way. But that is the draft, and we will crush you once again here in just a month from now. Ben Tickle says it's becoming harder to win a Super Bowl without a top 5 quarterback. The Lions this year, the 49ers over the past few, are examples of an elite team still struggling to get over the line.
It is. There's something to be said about it, right? I mean, even as good as the Eagles were a few years ago with Jalen Hurts, it's just, again, it does feel that way. We're in an era where the games and the teams are so close and so tight and so good that, as we've talked about before, last year I thought the 49ers were here and the Chiefs were here. The year before that, I thought the Eagles were here and the Chiefs were here. But we're in a league right now where the great quarterback can go, oh, wait, our team's here, but I can put us just here above you because of those plays. And we've seen that whether, even Matthew Stafford and his ability against the Bengals in that Super Bowl. I mean, people getting hurt at receivers, you got nobody out there except Cooper Kupp, and they dice you up. But, it does feel that way. I'm not going to lie. It's the game is so tight, so close, the league is so even, that it does in these type of games usually come down to 4 or 5 plays.
Yep.
And we're watching the master of 4 or 5 plays come through. It's the clutchest quarterback in the history of football. There's no denying it right now with what he's done in the first 6 years of his career.
I would say every team needs a get-out-of-jail-free card as a player.
If
yours is your quarterback, he can affect more plays.
Exactly.
Like the Lions have those guys. Like Jahmyr Gibbs is a get-out-of-jail-free guy.
Exactly.
But he can't affect the game as often as a quarterback can,
Exactly
right?
Exactly right.
So I think that's the way it is.
Now, listen, I think it's a little unlucky, right, with the way you guys got, and you got good enough.
Absolutely could have won the Super Bowl.
Good enough to win the Super Bowl. All of that. They got a little unlucky with the injuries and everything there, but damn, it does seem that way.
Shimmy Shake, Mr. Chris Simms, sir. Wow,
it's respect.
Do you believe that if Josh Allen was drafted to the Chiefs, he would have the same amount of Super Bowls as Mahomes? Same for Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Is it the coaching and that the talent, or is it Mahomes still slightly better than the rest, even in a vacuum?
Yes, it's that part. He's slightly better than the rest, even in a vacuum. Mahomes is special. This is a guy from day one. He got in the league. They threw the team on his shoulders, and they were like, go throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, it's your first game ever, but that's what we want. And that's what he's done. He's just delivered that way. Then they decided to spread assets out to the team through everywhere else because they realized how great he was. And they're like, we don't need to go crazy on the offensive side of the ball. Let's just protect him. And we get all this young defensive talent on this side of the ball. Well, we'll kind of play this way. And then he'll get us out of problems with the get-out-of-jail-free cards a few times every game, like you just talked about.
Yeah.
Right? So, those guys are awesome. And they're Super Bowl quarterbacks, and they're going to win Super Bowls. I do believe that. I do believe that if they were on the Chiefs, they'd probably have won a Super Bowl. I'll say that too, right? But I don't think they've won 3. I don't think so. I don't think they've been to 4 out of, this is now 5 out of 6 Super Bowls. I don't think so, no. There's something about this human being from whether you go into that facility and talk to people or get to witness it, or just stop being such a fucking hater and watch TV and witness it and watch it and see how great it is. Stop fighting against it. We went through this period of Brady and Manning where I used to have to say this. Like, can we just enjoy how awesome they are and stop always doing this, right?
Yeah.
Where we just got to hate one of them or hate them both because we're sick of it.
Yeah.
You know,
why can't he win the big one? Because it's sports and someone does have to lose.
Somebody does have to lose. And this guy, in the league again where it's supposed to be even, they have made it not look even. And it's not like, again, they've been like, hey, we're going to put the best talent around you on the offensive side of the ball, and we're just going to make you look good all the time. No, he kind of just at a point of his career, it's like, the hell with all that. We'll win the game. Just make the team as good as possible. So I'm of course, a believer in Mahomes that way.
The homies want to know your take on some of the biggest news out there. So we're going to go basketball here.
Okay.
Based Bob Trap God.
Shit.
Says, what do you think about the Luka trade?
What?
And Jacob Demian says, explain the Luka trade in NFL terms.
I don't even, I'm not even a lie. Like, it was one of those things where I woke up Sunday morning and I was like, wait, what? Is this real?
It was a huge trade in and of itself, right?
Yes.
Shocking. And it was even more shocking that no one even heard anything about it up until it actually happened.
Like, literally real. And then literally, like, my son is texting me, like, did you see this? Is this real? And I'm like, I think it is. It's on ESPN.
Let me call a few
everywhere.
people. Let me think.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just I was shocked by it. What is like, I heard Schefter say, like, oh, it's like Lamar and Joe Burrow. And I just want to go, no, I don't think it's that. I don't think it is, because they're both in their prime of their career. Anthony Davis is 32 and has an injury history. Luka Doncic is what, 25?
So analogies that Pete has heard here. Joe Burrow for Matthew Stafford.
Okay, that's not a bad one.
Jamar Chase for Mike Evans.
That's
and a future first-round pick.
Similar. Yeah, that's more along the lines. Right. That's what it is. Or yeah, exactly right. But I think you said it. Like
Pete's analogy here. Joe Burrow for Myles Garrett.
I don't know. That might be too high end. But like he's saying though, like it is like that. It's that it's got to be somebody in that age group, whether like Joe Burrow for Dak Prescott or something like that. That's what I thought of too.
Yeah.
Or Lamar for Dak Prescott, right? Where you're like, wait, this guy's a superstar and still going this way, and like lots of years in front of him. This guy's real good. Don't get me wrong, but you know, damn, it's getting up there in age a little bit, and he doesn't dominate the way the other guy does when he's on fire and really killing it. So, yeah, I was shocked by it. I was.
That was a weird one. Leave it to the NBA. They can always do that. Trying to steal the thunder from the Super Bowl in the NFL. Couldn't happen on this pod. Actually, it did happen a little bit on this pod.
You did.
All right, I want to go down to this one.
Yeah.
Let's do Let's do the Jets question, and it's from Israel IDMS7. Will Aaron Glenn want Aaron Rodgers on the roster?
I go back and forth with this one a little bit. Because, like, I do think Aaron Glenn has got a strong enough personality to go, wait, I think I can handle him. And I think on into that is Rodgers going to have a lot of options? Rodgers might be at a point of his career where he has to finally just be like, whatever, yes, coach. Yes, coach. That's what we're doing, coach. Yes, coach. Right? And the positives is like, okay, yeah, you can get your team going off on a good first step, good first impression. But within doing that, you got to make sure you don't bend to him totally, and it just becomes, oh, we're going to run every play Aaron Rodgers wants to run. That's where. Yeah. So that's where there's side of me that looks at it and go, I could see him doing this, right? But yes, the risk of that is that Rodgers decides he wants to do things the way he wants to, and it affects the culture of the football team that you're now trying to instill there in New York and all of that. So I think at the end of the day, I say no. But I do think it'll be thought about.
My worry, you don't think so?
I don't think
so. My worry is if he does come back, I mean, the way that the season ended for Aaron Rodgers, he was playing his best football at the end, right?
Right.
My fear is that would be like a little bit of fool's gold, and then you'd get him next year, be like, and it was just a few good games at the end of the year, and he's just never going to be the same, which he won't be, but not even to the level that they need him to be.
I worry about that. They'd have to have, if they want to think about it, they got to have long, hard conversations of like, hey, when we call a run on 2nd and 5, no, like, oh, check to the 1-yard pass shit and all that, right? Yeah. We want to run it. I want to be like Detroit was a little bit and like wear on people and do that. he's going to have to be able, or they have to have a feeling of like he's willing to step in line with the rest of the group and be a part of the team, and you don't get to go to Egypt during mandatory mini camp and just do whatever you want and run the show around here.
And it's hard to find a quarterback out there, which your Giants team needs to do. Nath Jacobson says, what should the Giants do at pick number 3 if both Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward are gone, and what should they do at quarterback if this is the case? Now, I haven't dove into it yet completely.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
But I have.
I was just about to say that too.
I'm getting the early sense that those quarterbacks might be there. I don't know.
I don't know
You're
either.
starting to hear some things of like, hey, they're good.
Yeah, but are they
like
the number 1 and 2 pick of the draft?
Like Bo Nix might have been the number 1 guy in this draft.
That's what
I'm
mean,
hearing a little bit. I don't know if that's true or not.
The top of me looking at it, just at a base, is that, yeah, they're not as good as the top 3 or 4 guys from last year.
Yeah.
I thought they were damn good. So yeah, I don't know. They're not number 1 and 2 picks of the draft on a normal year.
Right.
That's what I would say. Now, is there teams that are desperate here like they are at the top of the draft for
Still need a quarterback,
and that changes? Yeah.
Still worth it.
But I do think there's a chance one of them are there for the Giants. If not, though, and getting into that, that's where, again, I don't know if I got enough O-line. It sounds like there's a few tackles there that could be available that the Giants, again, would be interested in. They need DBs. Travis Hunter, if they wanted to do that, right? And then, of course, we know we can add to the offensive side of the ball a little bit in situations. Like, that's not shocking to me. The other guy that comes is the pass rusher from Penn State.
Abdul Carter.
Right? But I don't know if they're going to go that right now with Thibodeau and Brian Burns. So to me, it would feel like more like maybe an offensive line pick or maybe the DB and Travis Hunter,
that'd
the
be
Heisman
exciting.
winner.
Here we go from Duncan Steele. If you could GM any team in the NFL from now for the next 10 years without owner interference, who do you choose? Which club is only a few off-the-field decisions away from being consistently good? Excluding the Chiefs, he says here. So
yeah,
it's only a matter of time. We will lose you at one point.
I'll exclude the Eagles too, because I would love to take over the Eagles. I would love it.
Sit back and relax.
Yeah,
autopilot.
I mean, you're playing with house money.
So you've hung it up. You've done your last podcast for the Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
Yep.
It's a tearful goodbye.
Right.
I'm taking it over. I have no idea what I'm doing, but someone's got to take it over.
Green Bay Packers are one of those teams.
Okay.
The Rams are one of those teams. I think the Rams are set up for another run here going forward, right? I think that's why Sean McVay was like, I want an answer from Stafford now, and I need it now. I want it now. Because he's like, we're good, and I can't be going into like, we could maybe go to the Super Bowl next year, and oh, shit, now I don't have a quarterback, right? So that would be a team I think said Green Bay, Los Angeles, Denver. Denver's another team I go watch out for here, right?
Okay.
Maybe the Chargers. There may be another one there. Outside of the playoffs type of team, the Bears would be one too. The Bears are, I like Caleb and I like the team, like I've said so much.
Yeah.
Right? So if I just went to those lower level teams, the Bears jump out to me in a big way. I think that's about it. I think I hit on the teams.
Mention my Lions. My Lions have a lot of talent. We're the one seed in the NFC.
You know what? I almost didn't even count them because I almost put them in the Chiefs-Eagles category in my brain there.
Good. All right, good.
Yeah.
And they almost got to the Super Bowl, just a couple wins away. All right, so now let's do it. The moment of the podcast that we've been waiting for. This is a surprise. Pete says
here it comes.
This is going to be a shock to us, and so Pete and Kristen, take it away here.
It is that time. Big butts and we cannot lie.
The big butt of the week.
Oh.
It's the big butt song.
Time to give some love to these big guys.
Some
tushes.
It's a couple sacks, forced fumble.
He's a butt-ting superstar.
Give it to him, Ahmed.
One butt cheek.
And this is why you're the big butt expert of the world right now.
That's the Big Butts music right there, like
the
WWE
Big Butts
Superstar.
music.
It's like the Undertaker all of a sudden
Been a
comes
while
out.
since we heard it.
We haven't done it all year.
I know. Damn, I miss it too. It's a good song. It's a good mashup.
So this wasn't a shock to me. I did say to Pete, I was like, let's bring it back right at the end of the podcast here, and we'll do it like a wrestler coming out, and we're all shocked. But I was like, why not? We like to give the big butts some love. You've done it with Jalen Carter all year long,
of
and
course.
so while we didn't do it all season long, we're going to do it at the end of the year, the
All
most
right.
important time.
Good.
So the big butts, I have a second runner-up, a first runner-up, and a gold medalist winner here.
Okay.
So
okay.
let's start with edge.
Right.
And my second runner-up, the Vikings linebacker, outside linebacker, Jonathan Grenard.
Yeah.
Second most pressures among the outside linebacker edge category, 84 according to PFF. Most defensive stops among this position group as well. That's tackles that constitute a failure for the offense. Third most snaps. I love guys who play a lot.
You know that. I like it too.
Under the radar. Wanted to give him some love, so Jonathan Grenard.
Good. I mean, phenomenal football player. Totally flying under the radar, right? The Houston Texans got rid of him for Danielle Hunter and paid Danielle Hunter more, and I would say that Jonathan Grenard played better than Danielle Hunter this year. So they got themselves a more expensive by $10 million a year option.
Yeah.
Like, what a move by Minnesota, Brian Flores, O'Connell, to recognize the talent there and use him the right way.
Got the most out of him. My first runner-up, it was close, the rookie in Jared Verse.
I hear you, man.
Most pressures among this group with 89, most hurries, tied for the fourth most tackles, so in the run game as well. He was, and you said the guy that was pushing around the Eagles' offensive line maybe more than anyone you saw.
All year. It was shocking. Jared Verse, we liked him coming out in the draft.
Yeah.
He was better than I even thought he was going to be. I think he was a better all-around pass rusher than I maybe gave him credit for.
Strong. There's not many stronger than him.
And he's strong as hell. And one of the things we talked about in the draft process is he'd be strong, but then kind of die out as games went on. It looks like he fixed that. Like he improved his stamina a little bit and found out how to do that. Blown away by his year, and of course, an unbelievable end of his year in Philadelphia.
So very good. You get the silver medal, Jared Verse, maybe next year for you. The winner of the Big Butt of the Year award at the edge position, Myles Garrett. Top 5 in pressure, sacks, hurries, led the league with 22 tackles for a loss, all while being double-teamed 30% of the time this season, a career high for Myles Garrett. Congratulations. You have won the Big Butt Award. You can take that trophy to whichever team you're playing for next year.
And you got it. It's all his. And to also, I think what's more impressive about him, too, and you talked about all the attention, it's just who else is on their D-line that you're worried about, right? That is, to me, like even more so impressive when you don't have one other guy that you have to worry about, right? Right. That just shows you are a true ass kicker when you're beating double teams like that all the time.
All right, so congratulations. Now on to defensive tackle here, and I will just say off the bat, we have given Jalen Carter so much love. He is your love. You have a love affair with Jalen Carter.
Right.
He did not make my top
What an
3,
asshole
partly
you are.
because we've given him the love already, so let's spread the love. So my second runner-up here at defensive tackle is the Broncos' Zach Allen. Most snaps among defensive tackles with Jalen Carter second. He was second to Allen, who had over 1,000 this year. Second in pressures, first in sacks, first in quarterback hits. He was my second runner-up.
Hey, he's a player. J.J. Watt, light. That's what I kind of look at him that way. He's a very similar game to J.J. Watt. He is definitely one of the best interior pass rushers in football. Run defense is probably where he could get a little bit better.
That's it.
Yeah. But it's okay. And again, he's a chaos creator, and that's why they got him there. He's not there to be the stout, hold down double teams all the time. Unbelievable year by him.
So some love to Zach Allen, some love to the first runner-up in the Steelers defensive tackle, Cam Hayward. First in batted passes this year with 10. First in tackles, second in defensive stops. Players on the team called him the heartbeat of the defense this year. He was 35 years old, second oldest to Russell Wilson on the Steelers, and had a career-ish year.
Every year I go, this will be the year he kind of falls off. It won't be the same. And I think he was better this year than last year. He was.
I think so, too.
He really was. He's I'm amazed at everything about him and that his body is physically holding up still. I think that's where I'm just shocked by it. But yeah, still, looks like he's got another good 2 years left in him still with the way he's playing.
Amazing at that position this long.
Yeah.
But the winner of the Big Butt of the Year award, I believe for the second year in a row. I believe
so too.
I have a terrible memory. I don't even remember my own awards. Congratulations to Chris Jones, first in pressures, second in quarterback hits, first in hurries, fifth in total snaps, and he's getting up there a little bit too. Chris Jones, you are once again the winner of the Big Butt of the Year
That's
award.
why we made him the number 3 player to watch out for in the Super Bowl here. It's got to be big, or do we make him number 2? I can't even remember. It was it was right up there.
He was
top
definitely
3.
on the podium. He was number 2. Yeah.
But he's arguably one of the most versatile D linemen in football. shade nose tackle, 3 technique. Oh, defense end for a bunch of snaps. I mean, he does everything there. This is be big. That's why he's got to be big in this game.
Yeah.
He's got to show up and disrupt a few plays and annoy Jalen Hurts a little bit more than maybe he has in some past Super Bowls that we talked about earlier.
He will,
but
yeah.
damn, another guy, first ballot Hall of Famer, upper tier with Kelce, like with the all-time greats of the greats, Peyton, Tom Brady, Reggie White, Deion Sanders, Ray Lewis. He's up there with those guys.
What'd you say, Pete? He will turn 31 coming up here in July.
Incredible.
So still got a couple more years here. So we threw this together last minute. It was a shock to everyone.
There they are.
Kristen came through with the Big Butt Trophy and then a couple of 95 big butts.
Yeah, 95.
In the NFL. Two of the best.
95. Highway 95 to Big Butts down here in New Orleans, all right?
Yeah.
Now you know where it's at.
Wear 95, get a big butt, and you too could have an elephant trophy one day.
I'm so glad you were here. This was fun.
It was fun.
I'm glad we did it. I wish you could stay, longer.
Know.
I wish you could narrate Patty O'Brien's for us a little bit.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I would say next
if
year.
you could stay there and get in the middle and be the middleman between Florio and stuff, because Florio's going to lose like moments of what he wants to talk about, and then he's just going to talk about like how many drinks have you had so far for like the 10th time in the show.
Yeah, you know me.
That's what he did to me last year. He was like, "Oh, Chris is drinking again," like, and I was like, "You just told everybody 4 minutes ago. we know. Chris is drinking again."
You know me though. I'll get a little nervous with that. Like
I know.
Like you guys will drink a little bit more than I'm comfortable with, and my pits will start sweating. And I'll just
that's why we want you there. You would be good to make fun of in that moment there.
No.
But please check us out. You won't be there.
I
so
won't.
Maybe try to watch the next day or something.
Yeah.
Be a good company man. But Pat O'Brien's, okay, in New Orleans, 5 p.m. Central Time, right? We will be there Wednesday, me and Florio, Picks Podcast, Super Bowl winner, break it down, take some questions from the fans, do it all. But you will be missed, my friend. Missed.
Wow.
That was the backwards one? I like that. No practice. See? We were meant for each other.
Yeah. Only can be done on Radio Row.
Safe travels back.
Thank you.
Take care of the red pants.
Yep.
You didn't wear them because you're rooting for the Chiefs, did you?
No.
Oh, I just want to make sure.
Any special
I want to
occasion.
make sure.
Yeah.
All right. And then I'll see you next week.
I'll see you
Everybody
next week.
out there, I don't think we're doing a Sunday night.
Monday.
We're going to do a Monday podcast. You watch the Super Bowl all day long. You don't need to hear me break it down 3 minutes after it's over.
Yeah.
We'll be there Monday morning, ready to go, give you the full breakdown. Hope everybody enjoys the week. Check out Florio and I at Pat O'Brien if you're in town. Check us out on NBC YouTube page if you're not. Hope everybody's good out there. Enjoy the week. Super Bowl. Super Bowl. Peace out to the homies. Clap it up.
On Radio Row.
Thanks for watching Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Hey, just because the season's over, it doesn't mean we're over. We ain't going anywhere. The NFL never dies.
We're staying right here. Hit subscribe. We got every NFL move. We'll react to that. Plus, Chris has got 4,719 draft prospect profiles to do.
Thanks again for watching. Subscribe. You know where to find us. Peace out, homies.